What's up everyone, it's Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and I wanted to take a second to talk about Nintendo. I know I've been talking about Nintendo a lot for the last couple of months, especially since the release of the Nintendo Switch, but I want to call attention to, I suppose it's how I'm feeling about the Nintendo Switch, and how I'm feeling about Nintendo, and how critical maybe I have been and I am of them. There's multiple reasons for this, and I actually figured this out last night when I uploaded a video talking about NBA 2K18 and WWE 2K18 and their whole weird relationship with 2K and Nintendo as it stands at the moment. And I had some decent, valid criticisms in that video, but after I uploaded it, I spent a little bit of time just thinking, it's like, wow, I'm getting sick of talking about Nintendo in this way. I'm getting sick of having to criticize them over and over and over, and I don't like that I have to do that. I don't like that they give me reason, and that there's multiple reasons that they shouldn't bring on these criticisms, but they make the choices to do so, and well, people are going to talk about that. And you know, it's been a thing and a reoccurring theme since March 3rd, since January, when the actual console and the system was shown off, and there have been questions and criticisms since then. Especially in my case, I've had a numerous amount of videos regarding the Nintendo Switch and its shortcomings, as well as, of course, its business achievements, its feats, its whatever, ever since March 3rd and its actual release. I mean, if you look through my channel, I did a quick bit of digging just to get up my own history on it here, but if you look at my channel since, say, March 3rd, just for the sake of the actual release, I've talked about many things when it comes to Nintendo's shortcomings with the Switch, from the underpowered nature of the console, to the poor build quality of the console with, say, the likes of a plastic screen and the console's overheating and bending. You've got the quality, or the potential quality and shortcomings of their online subscription service, the whole separate dock price issue, the online subscription service delay, again calling question to the features, the whole virtual console, well, we'll call it a Netflix-style retro game service, the lack of features on the console and on the OS, the poor design choices, including, as I mentioned, the dock scratching, the screen hole deal already, just to name but a few. Questionable design choices in games, like for example Splatoon 2 and the whole salmon run thing only being available online at certain points in time. Pretty weird. The whole question about third-party support and how it's pretty lacking at the moment. What we'll call it, the more expensive version of games being released on Nintendo Switch versus other platforms, usually in regards to indie games and other games, not just indie ones, but large third-party AAA games as well, releasing later on Nintendo Switch than any other platform. The whole lack of a virtual console, their absolute joke of a voice chat solution. That's the main list of the stuff I've talked about, but on the plus side, I've talked about many positive things as well. Nintendo Switch is obviously selling exceptionally well. It's a very fun console. With the exception of Persona 5, I've probably played my Switch more than any other console platform this year, and of course there's massive sales, massive attach rates, massive everything when it comes to Nintendo Switch. It's really bringing Nintendo back to an extent, I suppose. And of course, it's got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the game that most places were 99.9% sure going to give Game of the Year this year. I'd be very surprised if there's more than maybe 3, maybe 5 places that don't give Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Game of the Year. Of course, it's the second best game I've played all year, and it'll probably stay that way, but you see my point. There's many accomplishments from the Switch. And when I was having all these thoughts and feelings about the actual state Nintendo was in, and how I had to make videos and all on it, and how I had to criticize them about it, someone left a comment on one of my videos, and he felt, I assume it's he, but he felt that I was making too much of a big deal about it, in the sense that I was being too critical of Nintendo. And I kind of felt he was a bit right, because I've just been saying so much negative stuff about them. But on the plus side, I have been saying positive stuff about them. But here's the thing. There's 2 reasons, okay? He specifically brought up Microsoft and Sony. And I was like, okay, yeah, we all know Microsoft and Sony, they still fuck up these days, that's true. But Microsoft and Sony, when their current gen consoles were announced back in 2013, made a serious amount of blunders. When their consoles released in the first 6 to 12 months of their console release, there was huge blunders and huge missteps. Most of the problems and issues have been since fixed. Granted, the Nintendo Switch is only a couple of months old, so many of the problems and criticisms haven't been fixed or addressed yet, and I'm very, very well aware of that. So when you look at it, I personally wasn't making videos back in 2013 when Nintendo actually released their whole, not Nintendo, when Microsoft and Sony released their current gen consoles. And I only started making videos a while after that. And that's where you think about it. Sure, I personally wasn't talking about that stuff, but there were many people talking about that stuff. There were many YouTubers, there were many actual, I hesitate to use the term because it's a joke of a profession, but games journalists and reviewers and websites and stuff like that. They were all talking about these issues, and when Xbox came out with the whole DRM thing, the whole always online thing, the whole when the console released and didn't have certain features, it didn't even have a proper storage solution or storage management. That's right, if you don't remember, when the Xbox One released, you couldn't manage what was on your hard drive. Yeah, that's fun for a console released in 2013, isn't it? So, you see my point, a lot of this was rectified and fixed. Sure, Sony and Microsoft still make missteps and issues and fuck-ups these days, but they're very much, in relation at least anyway, fewer and far between, versus Nintendo and Nintendo Switch, which is obviously a lot newer and only out a couple of months, and though a lot of the concerns haven't been addressed yet. But we've said that already. There's also one last thing I want to say when it comes to why I feel the need to be very critical about this stuff. And that is for the simple reason is I want the Switch to improve. The Switch is a good console. It could be better. I want it to be better. I want the console to improve. If you don't criticize all this stuff, all these Nintendo shortcomings, all these failures or whatever you want to call them, you know what we have? We just sit there and we take it. We get a Wii U too. It's that easy. If we don't speak up about these things, if we don't make them actively known that we, their consumers or potential consumers or fans or fan base or whatever, if we don't let it be known that we're not okay with this stuff and we're not happy with this stuff, they're just going to think it's okay and continue on with the same line of train of thought, the same line of process, the same line of production, the same line of design philosophy, and things won't improve. And that is definitely not what I want. I want things to improve. I want Nintendo to get third-party support. I want the Nintendo online subscription service to be good. I want a virtual console. You see my point? All this stuff, if we speak out and say we don't like being treated as second-class gamers, then maybe, hopefully, they will listen and be afraid that, oh well, all these people may not give us any more money. And hopefully, they'll change their philosophies, they'll change their design, they'll change their principles, whatever it is, and hopefully improve everything about the service, the console, the features, whatever, and give us what we want. In a sense, leading us to give them more money. And we'll be happier for it, might be a little bit more broke for it, but the point is that it'll give us a better console, a better, I suppose you call it a console ecosystem, like virtual console, eShop, physical games, whatever. You get my point. Because if we don't speak up about it, they're just going to keep on the same thing, keep doing some bad business practices and keep doing some bad design choices, and that's the last thing we need and that's the last thing we want, because God knows we don't want a Wii U 2. The Switch will probably outsell the Wii U by the end of the year because Mario hasn't even come out yet, and yeah, that's gonna go fucking crazy. So yeah, the last thing we want is Nintendo's worst selling home console ever to repeat itself now. I know the Switch is selling like crazy, but you get my point. Despite what may seem overly critical and what may seem overly negative, we have to speak up about this stuff or else we're fucked, and we just sit there and take it like some of the other console fanboys do. Some of the Nintendo fanboys also do it, so don't go crazy on me on that front. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think I've had some unfair criticisms? Do you think my amount of criticism is fine? Do you think it's not enough? Do you think it needs more? Because personally, I think it's a good balance. I don't fanboy behind it. I give them props on their good decisions and their good features and whatever, and I criticize the stuff that needs to be criticized. And I do it for what I feel like is the right reasons, because let's face it, I've said it multiple times in this video, we don't want to sit here and take our third-class product. We want better, we should demand better. This is how we do it. So let me know anything related to criticisms or the features or anything, just anything in this video at all really. Let me know all of that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.